Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
How are you, Conrad? How are you, everybody? Good to see you. Thanks for being with us. Goodbye.
We appreciate you joining us here today. We are going to do something that we have wanted to do for a long time, and that's watch some old school championship wrestling from Florida. But before we do that, we need to talk about what's going on in AEW. Of course, you and I went live as we're recording this last night over at WHWMonday.com. We've been telling you about this for a while now. You don't want to miss Tony Schiavone the next time he's live. We did Ask Tony Anything, and WHWMonday.com is your home for all things Tony Schiavone. So if you haven't already, go hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss us. But for those of you who did miss us, we briefly talked about that pretty awesome match that we got to see last week between not between Hangman Adam Page, but between Bryan Danielson and Double J Jeff Jarrett. We talked about it and we teased it last week, and what a match it was. When it was all said and done, the last Outlaw needed 5 stitches under his chin. What'd you think of Double J and Bryan last week?
Double J just put it all on the line. Bryan always does. That's no surprise there. Double J went back and talked to him after the show and saw that he was bleeding. And I said, I want to thank you for putting your health on the line to give us a good show. And he looked at me and kind of smiled and said, no, I'm serious. I really am. And I shook his hand. It's something I do all the time. He just stepped up big time, which is not a surprise to anyone who knows Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, the longevity in the sport for Jeff Jarrett is because of how great a performer that he has been throughout the years. Now, I know obviously his family was involved in wrestling, so he was kind of bored into the business, and he ran TNA at one time, and so he's kind of been in charge. But he comes back to AEW, and I think performs admirably. I've loved everything that Jeff Jarrett has done since he's arrived. And like you and I have said many times, Jeff Jarrett, you don't think this, and you know, when you were a fan, you hated Jeff Jarrett. You don't think this, but when you get to know him, you realize how much of a pro he really is.
Yes.
He's the ultimate pro. And I'm so glad that he is able to perform on a high level still. And so happy I've gotten to know Jeff and obviously Karen and Cody and the whole crew. And it's been great. It was a wonderful show. Congratulations for Jeff Jarrett to give us this match leading into Wembley. And for God's sakes, Bryan Danielson, well, it's amazing what he is. I mean, this is going to be his last year, he says, and he's not holding anything back, is he?
I don't think so. And you know what was sort of shocking to me? It sort of jumped off the page. I think we heard in an interview with good old JR that Bryan Danielson thinks he may have to have neck surgery like by the end of the year.
Right.
And he's been playing that pretty close to the vest. So all the whispers and discussion about, is this going to be his last year as a full-time wrestler or not? Man, that really brought a little bit of, I don't know, it was a sobering statement. Wait, another neck injury? That's whenever you have to have surgery on your neck, it's usually not something where you're just back at work the next week. I mean, that's a pretty serious deal in professional wrestling.
Damn right. I was, and of course I'm a slug, not an athlete, but I had, through the years, and we're talking about in the 80s, I had these electrical shocks I would play basketball at the Y, and these electrical shocks would go down my arm when I would shoot. And I was thinking, man, there's something wrong. So I went and I got an MRI, and the MRI showed how bad my neck was. And when the doctor saw it, he immediately put me in a hard brace to wear around all day. And he said, I'm putting you in the hard brace because if you have a blow in the back of your head, or if you are in a car accident or something, he said, you're going to be paralyzed the rest of your life from the neck down. And when I think about that, me just being a slug, and I think about this great athlete who has taken all these bumps and all these bad things have happened to his neck. I'm really am worried about Bryan Danielson every time he goes out and wrestles, because he doesn't hold back at all. So that's my concern about that. But I think he'll be okay. I think he knows what he's doing, and we always say that, right? It's just another thing that these guys and girls risk their bodies so much, and that's why I shook Jeff Jarrett's hand and said what I said. I really do appreciate this. Wrestling has become. There's some people out there who say, "Oh, it's a stunt show now," and there's a lot of stunts that are done. I get that, but they just put their bodies on the line and do things that are sometimes inhuman. Case in point is Darby Allin and the match that he had on Rampage on Friday against the Butcher. My God. My God. And I talked to him on Saturday when we were flying to Dallas. He had that match with Hologram at Collision, and I said, "Are you okay?" He went, "Yeah, I'm great. I'm fine." He said, "I just wanted to really push the envelope for Rampage, because a lot of times Rampage doesn't get those matches." And I thought, man, what a pro! What a freaking pro!
Yeah.
But still, these injuries always concern me and everything, and I appreciate the kids. I do. I really, really do. And seeing them perform makes me glad I got back in the business. Being able to call a Bryan Danielson match and a Jeff Jarrett match makes me glad I got back in the business.
Well, we're glad you're back in the business too, and we know you're going to be back in business later tonight as folks are listening to this, as that dirty, evil, rotten Hangman Adam Page is going to be taking on Jay Lethal. I, for one, am looking forward to Jay getting some comeuppance on behalf of Jeff Jarrett. I don't know if you've heard, we talked about it last week, that our pal across the pond, Tom Campbell, had a little song put together that was sweeping the nation. And
Is he our pal?
Yeah, well, he's Jeff Jarrett's best friend. That's well documented.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to work my way up the ladder, the friendship ladder with Jeff. I'm not quite to Tom's level, but, Jeff's got a lot of friends. A lot of people, are credit Jeff with helping them get their start and finding success in professional wrestling. Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt amongst them. I'm sure AJ Styles would have some complimentary things to say, and on and on and on. There's so many folks that Jeff has helped behind the scenes, but maybe nobody has gone on to greater success that Jeff got started with their first gig and all that stuff than old Tay-Tay. Taylor Swift is doing a 6-night run at Wembley. Yeah, that same stadium where we're going to be watching All In here shortly. She's the warm-up act for Double J. It was important to her to... Why are you laughing?
Taylor Swift, the warm-up act for Double J.
She told Jeff that she said, after 6 shows, I hope I'll have at least one that made you proud. So, yeah, the least she could do to pay homage to, her mentor, the person who taught her how to play guitar, is go ahead and cover Tom Campbell's song. And she hasn't gotten in the studio to record it yet. She recorded it on her iPhone, but she's the biggest star in the world, Tony. So I thought we should at least play that here on the program. And I think Dave Silva has it queued up for us.
Hey, Tori, come, you coward. Book Jarrett versus Hangman Page. Hey, Tony Khan, you coward. Make Wembley Stadium a mistake. Jeff been shown such disrespect. The over the line, that ain't just cowboy step. Tom Campbell's best friend must make things right. Then Wembley Stadium on a Sunday night. Yeah, the all-in crowd all breathless, with a great British guitar necklace. Hey, Tony Khan, you coward. Book Jarrett versus Hangman Page. Tony Khan, you coward. But Jared versus Hangman Page.
Shout out to Tay-Tay coming through in the clutch for the man who got her start. Old Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Tony, you're an office dude. So that's well documented. Do you think that coward Tony Khan is actually going to book Hangman Adam Page versus Jeff Jarrett? Will he, as Batista would say, give us what we want, Tony?
I would like to think he would.
I hope so.
I don't know. I've ceased to try to guess what's going to be booked. I just don't know sometimes. I'm not a part of the creative team. I could be if I wanted to, but there's a lot of people on the creative team now. So I kind of stay away from it. We've got good people on the creative team.
Oh, of course.
That help him out. So it seems to me, doesn't it seem to me that that's what it's kind of pointing to?
I mean, it's gotta happen.
Hangman's not on the show yet. Not been booked on the show. Jarrett's not been booked on the show. It seems like they're doing an angle. So yeah, sure, let's do it.
There you go. Hey, we got an AEW stooge to co-sign it. Let's get everybody talking about this new. Hey, Tony Khan, you coward. Jarrett versus Hangman Adam Page at Wembley Stadium. Tickets are on sale now. And of course, if you want to see a domestic show, that's AEWTIX.com. But we're not allowed to say that about All In. If you want to go to Wembley, you got to go to livenation.co.uk. That's livenation.co.uk. Still a handful of tickets remain. Going to be one epic show. I've already got a viewing party set up here at my house, Tony. It's going to be an early start. I think it'll get started at like 11 a.m. Our local time here in Alabama. So I'm going to have some meat on the grill and have some friends over, and we'll probably watch the first half of the show outside and go inside and cool off and watch Jarrett whip Hangman Page at Wembley Stadium. What's your viewing party going to look like? You having some friends over, Tony?
To my house? I have no friends.
That's right. That was a trick question.
Yeah. My only friend is right now a beagle named Scout. Scout, sweetheart. Hey, see her wag her tail. Bless her heart.
She wants to acknowledge you, but not actually do shit about it.
Yeah, right.
I hear you, but I mean, I'm not moving.
Yeah, what you doing, baby? Hey, girl. There's our girl. There's our girl. What a good dog.
Now,
good dog.
Who was Lois yelling at in the background?
She's talking on the phone. That's how loud she talks on the phone.
Was she on speaker?
No.
Does she?
Oh yeah. She talks on speaker, but she's always talked that loud on the phone. She's just like, watch this. Hey, you're talking too loud on the phone. She'll do this for hours.
What's Madeline up to?
Madeline?
I don't know.
That's our granddaughter.
Okay.
It's Matt's oldest daughter. We were in, this weekend, we were in New Jersey for the baptism of Emma, his infant. And so Lois is on with her cousins or something talking about the time we had in New Jersey this weekend. I flew from Dallas to New Jersey on Sunday morning for the baptism. And then we spent the night and flew back yesterday from New York.
How many miles do you think you've put in at AEW? Like if you had to go back from the beginning of your AEW venture almost 5 years ago, do you think, I mean, would that 5-year stint be more miles than you did maybe when you were with WCW?
Not yet, no, but it's close.
So I'm not saying cumulatively. I don't mean like I just mean like, do you think week in, week out, you do more travel now than you ever have?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought so because you spent a lot of time at the quote unquote office in WCW, right? And that was in Atlanta.
Right.
So that was just a drive.
Right. There's no office here.
Right.
This is a virtual company. So yeah, I do spend a lot of time. And I've stopped doing this, but there's been a lot of times that I would, let's say we would have we have a show on Wednesday, a show on Saturday. And sometimes I would even like, I didn't do this last time, but let's say we would have a show in LA on Wednesday and a pay-per-view like on Sunday, or even on, let's say we have Saturday and Sunday in Las Vegas, right? I would fly home on a red eye Wednesday night after the show, and then fly back Saturday morning to Las Vegas. And then, so I would not stay over those 2 days, Thursday and Friday. I would go back. So I would do West Coast flights back and forth between the shows. I don't do that anymore. That's crazy. But I know some people who do, that are in the office who have younger kids. Matt Schiavone would do it sometimes. He doesn't do that anymore. But there's some people in the office who have younger kids who fly back and forth all the time, and Tony allows us to do that. So yeah, we do put a lot of miles. I spend a lot of time in Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. It's my second home.
I wanted to ask you about something you said a minute ago, because we're going to be watching an old episode of Championship Wrestling from Florida that was actually posted to YouTube and provided to us today by 106 North Albany over on YouTube. We've got the link in the description for today's show, so you'll be able to watch along with us. This is not on Peacock. We don't believe this footage is owned by WWE. I'm not sure who owns it, but we are certainly glad that 106 North Albany over on YouTube uploaded it. And that did not ring a bell to me. I thought it was just a random name. And you pointed out, hey, that's the address of the old Tampa Sportatorium. And I thought, there is no chance that's right. And sure enough, I looked it up and it is. And I got a good look at the old building, or at least the photograph of the building from the year 2020. And it does not look like I imagined. But it was interesting to be able to look that up and see. And you sort of pointed out that, hey, that was the Tampa Sportatorium. And I remember, what was the old Crockett address? Something Briar Bend or something like that?
Yeah, 421 Briar Bend.
So I've heard like that rattled off a bunch when we talk about Crockett. And I know that Dory Funk kept an office down in Florida. And we've certainly heard Bruce talk about Paul Bosch's office, and he knew the address and where you could get your tickets. And I think lots of people who worked in Titan Towers or they worked at the studio, they all know these different addresses. But then you just hit us with, hey, this is a virtual company. And I just think, I never really thought about that. But unlike every other territory, they had an office. They had a physical studio. But with the way the world has changed, everybody can do their job from home now. So all of your video editors and things like that, they've got a rig at home that they can edit on. It never really clicked for me that there's not really a traditional AEW office building.
Well, there really kind of is. That there's a place in Nashville that we do our editing, but it's our production facility. There's not really an office that Tony Khan. He has an office at the Jacksonville Jaguars facility, which is outside the stadium. Now, our financial people and our HR people have an office in the stadium in Jacksonville. But as far as a office for everybody, right, where everybody stays together, there's not. We have weekly business meetings, and we have them on Zoom. We don't get together in a boardroom and have meetings because we have people all over. We have production people in Las Vegas. We have production people in Nashville. We have some corporate people in Jacksonville. We have Tony flying all over, and we have all of us. And that's one good thing about it. Lois and I talked about this many times. This house is paid for, and we've been here 35 years. And if we want to, we could probably pull up roots and move anywhere we wanted to move with the way my job is. But because of the Atlanta airport being so convenient,
hard to beat,
fly all everywhere, right? Why would you move? So, but it's a virtual company, basically. that has their big meetings every Wednesday, every Saturday. But we do have what we call a studio, and it's not really a studio because we don't have a place to shoot, but we have offices with
Edit bays.
Right? And the edit bay is not what they used to be.
Right.
You can basically edit on your laptop.
It's a bunch of Mac computers now. Right. There used to be these giant boards and cutting machines and all this, and now it's a dude with a $10,000 Mac.
Exactly, and of course, big monitors hooked into it to where everybody can see it. But the world has changed thanks to technology, and it's going to continue to change too. Continue to change. I'm going to say that there's going to be a wrestling match where you're going to hear the announcers, and you're going to hear probably Gordon Solie and Gorilla Monsoon talk, and you think it's really them, but it's AI. And
we've never used AI on the show, especially on this program. We wouldn't do that, especially this particular episode. There's been no use of AI at all. I'm being from Gunnersville. I don't even know how to spell AI, so
okay,
I'm scared of it. I'm going to
first letter in the alphabet, A. Okay, first letter in the alphabet, A, and then you can figure out the rest. It's
tough after that. That. Hey, we're going to be watching an episode of Championship Wrestling from Florida. We've got the link in the description for today's episode. So if you want to watch along with us, that's where you can find that link. Shout out again to our new friend over on YouTube, 106 North Albany. Greatly appreciate him posting this. It's actually an episode from December 11th, 1985. It features our old pal Lex Luger and Kevin Sullivan. We're watching this specifically today as a tribute to Kevin Sullivan because anybody who knew Kevin knew how fond he was of Florida, and this is really where he probably got his hottest as an in-ring performer with his darker side. I mean, this is where the whole persona of the devil came from.
Mm-hmm.
A cult-like leader type character, very dark, very believable at the time. I mean, he would come out and have his van on 4 flats on a pretty regular basis in this era because he had so much heat. And we know he would help in the early days of ECW, certainly help Dusty in WCW, and then help Eric Bischoff book heat for the NWO and create so many of those special Monday Night Wars moments were from the mind of Kevin Sullivan. And you spent a lot of time working with Kevin, talking about baseball, talking about wrestling. And you had some fantastic words you shared with everyone on Twitter when we found out about his unfortunate passing last week. And I wanted to give you just a minute here to talk about Kevin Sullivan before we watch some of his finest work.
Well, Kevin was a good friend, and I feel very bad. You know how I say people are good friends, and then I don't communicate with them. I did not know that Kevin had been injured and did not know he was sick. And I remember you and I talking about Kevin, and you kept saying he's doing okay. And I kept thinking there's something going on here. I need to follow up. And then again, I wouldn't follow up. I had talked to Kevin a number of times after the WCW days. Saw Kevin in MLW, did a couple of things for us. Kevin was not only a great mind for the business, he was a legitimate tough guy. Tough guy. He beat up a lot of people. If you ever saw Kevin in a job match, enhancement match, he beat up a lot of people. And there's the famous match with he and Benoit, and that went down and how they just beat each other up. But Kevin loved the business. He loved baseball, and we certainly had a lot in common on that end. He and I had a lot of same feelings about the state of the business. And Kevin kind of let you, as a booker, Kevin kind of leaned on me and didn't really produce me that much. But he would come to me and tell me a few things that were going to happen in the show that he thought that would be important for me to know. He always thought that as an announcer, I should react to it honestly, without knowing everything. And that kind of was the way I approached my job in WCW, and kind of the way I approach my job here now in AEW. Sometimes the less I know, the better. But he was a great communicator, and he's the one that came up with the entire Dungeon of Doom and those vignettes that were certainly, had been shit on, I guess. But that was out of his mind, because that's how Kevin was. And he's the one that brought in King Curtis. And he was a wonderful mind for the business. And I'm so heartbroken that he's gone, and I'm unable to communicate with him. I guess he lived in the Pacific Northwest, didn't he? Move out there?
Yes.
He lived up in Washington, up there somewhere.
On an island, actually.
Yeah, right. Had an island, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of the way to live your final years on an island?
He had a good run out there. I think he also had in recent years, I think he had moved to Florida.
Oh, really?
But we know, once upon a time, and Kevin and I actually talked about this on the show before, because I've always been so fascinated that after WCW went down, he didn't go to work for the WWE.
Right.
Like, they hired Eric Bischoff, they hired Hulk Hogan, they hired Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, and everybody almost who was in WCW eventually wound up in the WWE. But the architect behind a lot of the booking didn't.
Right.
And I thought that was interesting that they gave so many opportunities to Hollywood types, like, some of our favorite comedians or actors. I mean, Freddie Prinze Jr. was even getting a shake there. And I'm not saying that he didn't deserve that. I'm just saying, kind of odd that he never had that opportunity. Like even Dutch Mantel. Now, granted, I know he was an in-ring performer and he wasn't working behind the scenes, but another brilliant mind. He was there with Jack Swagger. Kevin Sullivan never was. And so many people who work for WWE today were influenced by Kevin Sullivan, whether it was Steve Corino or Karrion Kross or so many others. I'm just fascinated with the idea that he never got that opportunity. But
did you ever talk to him about that?
We did. He said that he never heard from him. And then, he did finally say, hey, we'd like to meet. And they met in I guess Stephanie rented like a hotel suite at a hotel so they could have a meeting when they were, on tour. He went to the hotel and met with Stephanie, and she asked for his resume, if he brought a resume. And he said, no, ma'am, I don't have a resume. And that was kind of the end. She wanted to know what he had done. And he didn't bring a resume. So it never happened.
What he had done.
And, he did say that there was, at a time, there was some interest, perhaps, in him doing something, but he had just opened a gym in Florida and spent a bunch of money on the gym. And it didn't make sense for him to just walk away from that and take an L for a job that was probably going to pay him less. But yeah, the idea that we asked Kevin Sullivan for a resume after he beat your dad's brains in 83 weeks in a row, I thought was interesting. Your dad knows what he did.
Yes, of course he does. I have a feeling Kevin did not, because of what a type of guy Kevin was. I have a feeling Kevin was not good at doing an interview about his job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kevin, in my head, Kevin doesn't like talking about himself. He's not going to put himself over.
Right.
Like either you know or you don't, and that's okay.
Right.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like, he never got his proper flowers to me. And I hope that we can help with some of that today, because let me just tell you, post WCW, even though, big time mainstream wrestling may have been finished with him, he wasn't finished with wrestling. He continued to help sort of mentor guys in MLW, in Ring of Honor, in the NWA. I mean, just all across the globe. And you saw an outpouring of people who would talk about, how he had affected their life and their career. And I just thought it was super cool that the Red Sox, threw up something during their game the other day and acknowledged his passing, because I know the only thing that Kevin Sullivan loved as much or maybe even more than pro wrestling was the Red Sox. So I know that would have made him happy. That
was very, very cool. And I mentioned Kevin's passing on Saturday on Collision, and I did it during the entrance of House of Black, which I thought would be for Kevin apropos.
Yes, I agree.
And then I heard from Brody King. He said, I appreciate you mentioning Kevin during our entrance. He said that's because Kevin was a mentor of mine, and it meant a lot to me too. So, and I didn't realize it at that time, but I just thought that Kevin would have appreciated Malachi and the way he approaches things,
Yes.
kind of demonic, and so it all worked out. So, yeah, we're going to miss Kevin. Hell, I missed Kevin for a long, long time, and yes, we did stay in touch. Did you see the judge, whatever it was, thing with he and JJ?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what was that? That was it wasn't Judge Judy. It was one of those shows.
Yeah, it
Steve
was.
Harvey?
It
Was
was like
Steve Harvey
or
as
Judge
the
Joe
judge?
Brown or something like that.
Yeah, right. Which I thought was kind of
It's a work. It's a payday for everyone.
yeah. It's like okay, we want to try to present these shows as real, but we're having JJ go up against Kevin Sullivan.
Well,
right?
no. How many people would have known that? It was Judge Steve Harvey. You nailed it.
Yeah.
You can actually Google that. It's on YouTube now. Looks like about
Right.
6 minutes and 28 seconds. The clip that I just found. Judge Steve Harvey with JJ Dillon and Kevin Sullivan. What a fun bunch of guys. I'm excited for us to watch this. Never have we ever in the history of what happened when watch any old championship wrestling from Florida. So without further ado, let's do it. This was actually recorded on December 11th, 1985, and it was broadcast 3 days later, December 14th, 1985. Tony, how old were you December 14th, 1985?
25,
Cool.
20, I don't know, 20 something.
20 something. Here we go. This will be fun. We got a who's who here. We got Kevin Sullivan's Army of Darkness. We got Hector Guerrero, the Cuban assassin. We're going to see Purple Haze. We're going to see Barry Windham. We got Lex Luger. We got Blackjack Mulligan. We got Wahoo McDaniel.
Oh, wow.
A lot of fun old school names. Tony, do we have a special countdown today?
No.
You wanted to kick it old school for us? Can you do it in a Boston accent? Do your best, Kevin Sullivan.
Oh, man, I'm not good at Boston accents, but...
Well, you could do the King Curtis voice if you'd rather do that.
Sullivan, my son, in 3, 2, 1, play.
Wrestling from Florida. And now, the award-winning voice of championship wrestling is chosen by the Florida Sportscasters Association, Gordon Sullivan.
Thank you very much, Bob Stone. By the way, Bob is in the hospital right now. We wish you a speedy recovery, my friend. Welcome to Championship Wrestling. I am Gordon Soley. Off to a great start today. Buddy Cole, of course, is with me. And, Buddy, a lot of things have been happening.
That's right. I'll tell you.
So, Tony, I didn't grow up watching this, so you're probably more familiar with me. But what did you think of this presentation, this studio type setting for Championship Wrestling from Florida with Gordon Soley and Buddy Cole here?
It made it seem real because Gordon Soley was authentic, and they were sitting behind a desk with microphones like newsmen, like the 6 o'clock news.
Yes.
I thought Gordon Soley was so confident and such an icon that he could. I mean, he opened the show, coughed on the air. Let's go to the next. He was. I just thought it made it very authentic, and it looked like more than it looked like a wrestling show at a news studio. And they would bring in wrestlers. Gordon wouldn't stand up. They would bring in wrestlers. They would sit down next to Gordon and talk to him. So it was a very different look. Loved it.
Yeah, it's fun to take a look at the way wrestling used to be here. Again, this is brought to us by the 106 North Albany YouTube channel. Hopefully you're watching along with us. If you're not, we've got a link in today's description. Aaron Sheen is with us live here as a part of our live studio audience from patreon.com/WHW Monday. And he wants to know, Should Kevin go into the WWE Hall of Fame, Tony? And who should induct him?
Wow, who should induct him? Of course he should. There's a lot of people that should go into the, there's Kevin.
We got to hear this.
We got to listen to this, yeah.
That I don't believe in what I'm doing. The people that follow me, he says, are weak.
That's Luna Vachon in the white.
People that follow me are controlled by me. Take a look at these people around here. They don't look controlled. People that follow me for one reason, Blackjack. Truth. You see, your past is no bed of roses. Everybody knows that. Your two young sons who you worship and adore are your possessions. These happen to be my possessions. And the ultimate conflict is this, Blackjack. Do I really believe in what I'm doing? Or do you believe in what you're doing? Or are you that frightened that I've been offered everything? Gone past lusting for the flesh, transcended the higher plane when Habuddin and myself took Meha Singh when he was floundering from the sea of life and gave up one thing to become Meha Singh. Vanity, Blackjack. Barry Windham, you're vain. Kendall, you're vain. That whole family is vanity-stricken. Mirrors all over their house. Bob Roop is no more. He's despised because he gave up vanity. The purple haze came from the sea, sent to me by the chairman of the board himself. For one reason, to do my bidding. Vanity had nothing to do with it. You see, Blackjack, the fallen angel, when she got a hold of Meha Singh and set him free, things have done this. Possessions of mine. I didn't will this on these people. They did it on their own accord. Because when I met with Og and took the Cosmic Cookie, and I took two of them, one to get there and one to get back, and I went to the Amazon River of my mind, and I met with CV, and he danced with the light just to be where I was at. You see, Blackjack Mulligan, there is no control anywhere but here. I control everything. In my life, there has been one power, Blackjack, and that power is the power of darkness. You have fought that for a long time. The horrible thing that I've intended to do, Blackjack, you know in your heart when you lay your weary head down and the demons dance with the light, you're wondering what I'm going to do. You're wondering how far I'll go. Do you remember that girl you took from me, Blackjack, the lock? You never mentioned whatever happened to her, do you? Well, because of that, there has to be a sacrifice made today. And the sacrifice, Blackjack Mulligan, is this. She came to me on her own accord, slapped by me, and touched by the golden palm. You understand, Blackjack, I have a way with everybody. Now it comes to this. Her vanity will be stripped because you shall learn this. Anybody that follows me gives up something, and I'm in control all the time. I'm ready for a sacrifice, and I've talked about it for a long time. Make her my sacrifice.
Okay, so Nancy is now.
Nancy Sullivan. Wait, hang on.
You shut up! Like I told the coach, I know what I am doing.
Somebody better be in control sometime.
Introducing first.
So what a shot. What a scene. They were on a couch. It looked like maybe in Kevin's apartment. He had some of those old school 80s fans over his couch. And what a cast of characters. A couple of guys hooded and painted up. And You saw a young Luna Vachon with short hair, almost, I don't know. I mean, in like a wedding dress. I mean, just like a cartoon, almost lacy white dress. And behind Kevin, the entire time he was talking and cutting that promo, was a woman in a bikini, Nancy Sullivan, with her hair teased up. And she stood up with some hair trimmers. She was ready to give Luna a haircut. I think we'll see that later on this program. What did you think of that presentation? I mean, it felt cult leader. It felt David Koresh. It felt Jim Jones. I mean, that's the vibe we were getting there. What did you think?
That's the vibe that Kevin wanted. And I agree. It really got bizarre when he talked, and it really popped me. I took a cosmic cookie to get there and one to return. And he was just spewing off stuff. It was like just random conscious. You had asked me a question, who should induct Kevin Sullivan?
Yes.
My first thought was Mark Lewin, and that was Mark Lewin right next to Kevin Sullivan, the Purple Haze, that Mark Lewin should induct him because Mark Lewin was with Kevin all throughout Florida and was with Kevin even when they came to Jim Crockett Promotions. It was Gary Hart, Mark Lewin, the Purple Haze, and Kevin Sullivan when they first came to Jim Crockett Promotions.
I think he's the guy 87, cuz.
What's that?
I think he's 87. I don't think that's
he's really, he's Bob Roop's another one. And that was Bob Roop down at the bottom there with a half a mustache. And Bob Roop is known they could. I saw Bob Roop at the recent Hall of Fame inductions in Waterloo. Bob Roop is another guy who could induct Kevin. He worked with him with Kevin down in Florida as well. I just think that, to me, that someone from down in Florida should induct Kevin, only because that's where he started his career and that's where he became famous. He also had a pretty good run on TBS before the Florida days on Georgia Championship Wrestling when he was just Kevin Sullivan. He's always been Kevin Sullivan, but before he came demonic. So there's a lot of guys that could do it. Yes.
One of the names that was actually suggested in our live chat is Coach Keith Morrison, who's here from adfreeshows.com as a part of our live studio audience. He says maybe the son of Mr. Sullivan's greatest enemy could induct him, Cody Rhodes. Of course, he did enjoy his most in-ring success down here in Florida, feuding with Dusty. Of course, Dusty, Florida was his territory. He was the king babyface. So if he's going to be the top babyface, if you're the top heel, well, you're on a collision course. And they made magic together. And it's funny because I talked to Eric Bischoff since Kevin's passed, not on a show, just in real life. And through the conversation, we're talking about Kevin and his impact on the business and maybe the idea that he didn't really get his proper flowers, as the kids say these days. And he said, when Dusty first got the book in WCW, he goes, I remember, so them asking, hey, what do you need? You're going to be leading us here. What do you need? And Eric says, Dusty didn't hesitate and said, get me Kevin Sullivan. So Dusty knew that they had both sort of sat under the learning tree of Eddie Graham down in Florida. And I do think, knowing the way WWE does their inductions, they usually try to get someone from their current era, if they can, to pay homage to yesteryear. I don't know who would accept on behalf of Kevin, maybe his family. Someone in his family could, but
his daughter maybe.
But Cody inducting him, I think could be cool.
Yeah, that's good plan there, Conrad. Good plan.
Shout out to Coach Keith for coming up with that one.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Keith for being awake this time of day.
Yeah, totally. Hey, we're seeing a fun match here. We're talking over. It's Hector Guerrero and the Cuban Assassin. Look who our referee is too. It's a young Bill Alfonso.
I know.
I saw Hector Guerrero. I met him for the first time on a Southwest flight randomly. I was going on vacation. I think the wife and I were going on some cruise or some bullshit like way back when. And I took a look at the guy and I was like, man, I think I know him from somewhere, but I don't know where I know him from. And then I saw him walk. And, if you've been wrestling for a very long time, you can tell. And so I could tell by the way he was walking, hey, that's exactly who I thought it is. That's Lasertron himself. That's Hector Guerrero. Did you spend much time with Hector? I know he was in WCW there for a little bit and JCP for a little bit.
Just in the studios, just saying hello to him, and not really. I spent a lot more time with Eddie than I did Hector, but Hector was really a gentleman and soft-spoken guy. And David Sierra was, by the way, at the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies as well in Waterloo. And the Cuban assassin, David Sierra, spent a lot of time with him. Actually, probably more than I did with Hector. And both are great performers. But I mean, you can just tell if you're watching along with us. David Sierra is really green right here.
I want to encourage you, if you're not familiar with Hector Guerrero, just throw him in your Google machine. If you just type in Hector Guerrero and hit images, you're going to see old promos and more recent ones where he's recreated it, where he's just draped himself in bullets. What a badass look that is.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I remember like 15, maybe even 20 years ago, a friend of mine ran across a picture like that and sent it to me and was like, dude, do you know who this is? This is badass. And I go, yeah, that's the Guerreros. And they were like, is this today? I go, no, actually, that's like the 70s. That's old school. And man, it was awesome.
Right. Yeah.
But like as a kid, you know, you're all into Rambo and G.I. Joe and shit like that in the 80s. Dude, coming out just draped in bullets was badass.
Yes, it was. But the whole Guerrero family, what a legacy they left in wrestling, huh?
Oh, man. No doubt.
Yeah.
Bruce's favorite. He just loved the Guerreros. Of course, growing up in Texas, I guess that was basically a law. Aaron Sheen is with us here, and he says, does Tony have a favorite Kevin Sullivan match or angle? I know that his feud with Chris Benoit is probably the most high-profile thing that he was a part of on camera from the modern era, because when WCW got hot with the Monday Night Wars, you know, and Nitro's blowing up and Raw's hot and all that, their feud seemingly went months and months and months, an incredible series of pay-per-view matches. There's a woman in the men's room, and, you know, all this stuff we would hear from Dusty. I love that feud, and I thought it was super fun to watch as a fan. Does anything else stick out to you as a favorite Kevin Sullivan moment from WCW?
Well, not necessarily from WCW, but I'm going to send you back to we've talked about this. It's in the archives. I'm going to send you back to the first Starrcade in '83, where Kevin Sullivan and Mark Lewin were wrestling. I'll think of the kid's name here, Scott McGee and someone else. I'm not so sure who it was. It was a tag team match. It may have been the opening match on the show. I'm not sure, but it was one of the opening matches, maybe like 3N or something. And this was Scott McGee's first blade job. And in the old school days, the blade job was, if you had never done a blade job before, someone else would do it for you, right?
Right.
And I remember watching it in the back on that little monitor. And if you go back and you watch that, they took the golden spike that they had from Gary Hart, and they held, Kevin Sullivan held the head of Scott McGee, and Mark Lewin took the golden spike and hit Scott McGee on the head. And as he hit it on the head, Kevin did the blade job. Well, Kevin did the blade job. If you're looking at me like this, he just took the blade and went zzz, like that. Didn't just, you know, as they do, you know, just dab themselves or cut themselves. He sliced him freaking open, and you could see it that he did it. And it was like, and then they had me in the back do an interview with Scott McGee, and Angelo Mosca was there with me, and the Mosca was talking about what he had just seen and how this kid had been injured. And they pulled out the shot from me and Angelo Mosca, and there was Scott McGee there just bleeding profusely. And so that's my most memorable Kevin Sullivan match. It's worth a watch. Starrcade '83, that tag team match, and especially watch when Scott McGee gets hit with the golden spike. It's really pretty crazy.
You know, I don't think you've ever really spent any time talking about Scott McGee, but I don't know that you and I have discussed this at all. I think I'm technically, by marriage, legally, somehow, loosely related to Scott McGee.
He's a member of the Flair family?
Yeah, so he was married to Tony, which is my mother-in-law's sister.
Okay.
So, like when Megan turned or had a milestone birthday, I don't think I should keep saying the number. She had a milestone birthday in January. That was Scott McGee's kids that came to my wife's birthday dinner.
Yeah.
We're going to
go back to Kevin Sullivan.
And Kevin, here we go.
This is what vanity is all about. I said take no prisoners. I said a sacrifice. This isn't the horrible thing, Mulligan. If this ain't it. Make her cute.
Pretty master.
I'll make her pretty master is what woman says as she has the shears in her hand and is actually shaving the head of Luna Vachon in Kevin Sullivan's apartment as he does commentary here.
So this is Luna getting a look that would remain with her the rest of her career, right?
This is how she became Luna Vachon. Yes.
Okay. Right.
Come on, Blackjack. Nobody can control anybody. How do you think? Do you really think I could control this girl to give up her vanity? Blackjack Mulligan. You're right. I'm a con man. People don't follow me. You're absolutely right. I can't control people. You're right. I have no control over anybody. You're absolutely right.
I'll tell you, there's not much more to be said.
I love Gordon Soley, man. Because what do you say after that? Can you imagine trying to play it straight as a newsman?
Right.
All righty then.
By the way, you were talking about Scott McGee. Finish that story.
No. I mean, oh wow, Luna Vachon is out here at ringside with half her head shaved, and Kevin Sullivan. Oh, I would not want to be this young man.
No.
Oh my gosh, I think that's Del Apollo that Kevin Sullivan is about to beat the absolute tar out of.
Yep.
It's funny because Aaron Sheen is watching with us live, and he says, whenever I watch a Kevin Sullivan match, he would rough guys up to the point where you believe this was a shoot.
Exactly. Exactly. That's I think I mentioned that earlier. Kevin said, just going to swat away that drop kick. If you're watching along with us, you're not going to drop kick me, kid. Kevin did a drop kick of his own. Oh.
By the way, I've never had a conversation with him about it, but I would bet that our pal Taz borrowed a little bit of his style and approach from Kevin Sullivan.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about a guy who's maybe not a 7-footer, but still so aggressive. Oh, here we go. Sullivan's over to the desk with Luna. Here we go.
Yeah. This one's on your head, Mulligan. You made me do this.
Man, I love the story here. I can't make people do anything.
Yeah.
Nobody listens to me.
Exactly.
It was so well done, man.
Now they got Mark Lewin out, and he's beating the shit. Boy, Mark Lewin was, he had a hell of a body, man. He was like strong, and
I think that poor soul he's beating up is Mr. Fever, Mr. Mike Fever.
Mike Fever.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to feed a fever. He's going to be feeding Lewin a lot.
Okay, so you were finished the story about Scott McGee?
Yeah, it was my wife's uncle.
Your wife's uncle?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you ever see him in any family affairs?
No, they're divorced.
Okay. There you go. An extended part of the Conrad family.
Yeah,
you should get your family members to come to the lake house to help you disperse of the geese.
I don't have a geese problem. I don't have a goose problem.
Bullshit. You don't think you do. One night, just kind of go out and walk around the house. They're congregating.
Dude, I'm out there every day.
They're meeting. When you're not around, they're meeting. One of these days, going to beat the fuck out of you when you get out of a car.
I would think that would be great. I would love that. By the way, I have cameras all over the house. So if and when I do get in a fight with a goose, it will be on camera.
Really?
Yeah. And I'll pull the footage and we'll play it right here.
I bet you there's a couple of geese can disconnect that camera.
I mean, I think you're thinking the geese are smarter than they are.
I know they're smarter than they are.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going to get back with you.
I just don't trust fucking Goose. And
by the way, can we just talk about the sad state of affairs we're in right now?
Currently right now?
Yeah. Stupid ass Dave Silva.
Okay.
And I'll let you down Tony Schiavone.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, some way, Matt Coon is going to visit the lake house before those two guys. Like, we don't even like Matt Coon here on this program. And Tony Schiavone and Dave Silva they're not going to come visit me. They're not going to come hang. They're not going to come fellowship. I just don't understand.
Well, here's the story here's the bigger story. Why would you invite Matt Coon to the lake house?
Well, I'm trying to teach my wife a lesson, you know? Oh, wait, we gotta hear this just for a second. I just love the old school music. So, anyway, yeah, I'm trying to teach my wife a lesson.
And what is that lesson you're trying to teach her, Conrad?
Well, I was going to have some friends down and spend a few days at the beach. And she was like, well, I won't be able to take off work then. So we're not going to be together. I wish we could spend more time together. Yeah. And I said, so would you rather I invite my friends here? And she goes, yeah, that way we could still be together. And I'm like, okay. Hey, Matt Coon, I'm going to come down, watch all in at the house. He's on the way. She'll let me fellowship with my friends at the lake next time.
Can we track this interview?
We sure can. It's Wahoo McDaniel. And look who that is on his left, Kendall Windham.
Mm-hmm. He's wearing a mask. He called himself the Invader. He's coming after my title. Probably from parts unknown, from whereabouts unknown, weight unknown. I'll know when he comes in the ring with me, and he'll know when he steps out.
Wahoo, lumberjack match, Lex Luger.
That's right. You know, Luger, he's silly enough to think that I put those people around there so that he can get some help. Well, let me tell you something, Luger. The reason those people are around the ring is so none of your friends can get in and you can't get out to get away from me. Now, I got to admit one thing. Since he won my title, he's been man enough to put the title up once or twice. But you know, a man should be wearing track shoes instead of wrestling boots. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Lumberjack match, I keep you in there, I'll beat you.
Thank you so very much. Wahoo McDaniel. Well,
listen, I love me some Wahoo, but what the fuck was that?
That was a local promo.
I got that. Oh, here's one from Lex Luger, a very early promo.
Southeast coast of Florida, you're a heavy hitter. Pro football, top pro wrestler. I don't know, Wahoo. Seems to me I took your belt away a month ago, and it's still right here in my hands.
West Palm Beach, you see, there happens to be a real serious problem here. There's a line that's completely drawn down the middle. A division, you may say. Something that would blur your mind.
They blurred the video.
Things aren't right in paradise. I intend, after the cosmic cookie wears off, to make things right for all my family members. It's this clear. There's your family, and then there's the family. From the sea, from Calcutta, and from wherever. Your family against ours.
My goodness. What a fun promo when he says, you know, your vision starts to blur. Boom.
And they blur it. Talks about the cosmic cookie. And they're probably saying, cosmic cookie, I'm having one right now.
Are you going to can you think you can work in a cosmic cookie reference into Dynamite this week?
Oh God, please text me and remind me.
Yeah. When Mariah May or Tony Storm are doing something, I'm sure that, man, so it looks like somebody just had a cosmic cookie.
We should. Hey, I don't think I've mentioned this enough, but you know, when I started wrestling and doing wrestling, I had been a big fan of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. So I watched Flair, Valentine, Mulligan, Wahoo McDaniel. Obviously, I got to know Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat very well. Didn't really get to know Blackjack Mulligan that well. Ole Anderson got to know well, but I got to know Wahoo very well. And that's one of the thrills of my life, being able to get to know Wahoo McDaniel. And there's a story about Wahoo McDaniel in my comic book, Butts and Seats, about the time that I was.
Hey, this is Barry Windham. Let's listen.
Oh, wow.
He did a whole lot more of what Tyree said. You know, Kevin Sullivan, I don't know if you understand what a barbed wire match entails, but there's going to be barbed wire wrapped all the way around the ring, 6 strands of it. And let me tell you, Mr. Sullivan, there's no way to get out of that ring without running part of your hide off on these barbs. Now, you and Mr. Roof had better be ready for not necessarily a fight, because the real fight's going to be trying to get out of that ring with your life. Things are going to be real rough for you for a long time around here. And a barbed wire match is just the very beginning of it.
I don't know now the little girl.
So now we got Blackjack. Goodness gracious, one promo after another. But that hat, man, what a look. Let's listen to Blackjack for a minute.
I love him.
But I wouldn't put anything past Kevin Sullivan at this point.
I would certainly have to agree with that. Let's go to the ring now and our ring announcer.
Okay.
So Barry Windham's going to be in-ring action here.
Yeah. What we had just seen was this elongated interview that we saw Kevin Sullivan, we saw Kendall Windham, was just an elongated local thing for West Palm Beach.
All to sell tickets. Yeah, this is...
Sell tickets for West Palm Beach. Now we go back to the action.
Ron Slinker is going to be Barry Windham's opponent. You know, I think most of our listeners are pretty familiar with Barry Windham because of all the stuff we've covered through Jim Crockett Promotions. We've spent a little bit of time talking about Kendall Windham, not very much. Obviously, he's not going to achieve the same level of success that Barry did, but boy, that promo, bless his heart, you could tell he was nervous Nelly on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a kid, man. That's all he was right there.
How big Barry Windham is. He's deceptively tall. I don't think people give him enough credit for what a big dude he was.
Yeah, not only big dude, it's well documented. One of the great workers of all time. Whose health has been bad as of late. And, he's had heart conditions. And, Barry didn't do much working out either.
Just a natural.
Just a natural. Now, he didn't hit the gym that much. Got me drunker than I've ever been before. And every time he'd see me, he'd rub his hands together and look at me. I said, not a chance. I'm not going out with you after the matches tonight. Because you're crazy. You're a big Texan. You can take a lot more than me. But unlike Ric Flair, he never dumped his drink in a plant behind the bar.
We've all been there.
Yep. Barry would knock him down with you.
What were those drinks that you and he had when you wound up with a bunch of jalapenos in the back of your head? It was like a red, white, and blue something or other.
Yeah, it was a Star Spangled Banner.
That's it. There you go.
The Star Spangled Banner, Kamikazes, Watermelon Shooter. I
got to look up a damn Star Spangled Banner. I don't even know what that is.
It was red, white, and blue. Let's see, Watermelon Shooter, Kamikazes. I don't know. He named them, she brought them, and we threw them back. Me, him, and David.
Oh wow, this is a pretty good looking drink here.
Really?
I'm just looking at the images of this that I'm seeing people make.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I got to see if Ray the bartender will put down the PP and make me one of these.
Okay. Would you rewind that a minute? Put down the PP?
Yeah, he's Top Rack Jones. We talked about it last week that I was going to send you a baker's dozen or something.
Yeah.
For...
Oh, yeah, got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought he was going to put down the PP. I didn't know if he was going to stick his
well, I hope not. I hope not.
Or something. I didn't know.
I think that's illegal. I don't think you should do that.
I would hope so.
So Buddy Colt is standing ringside here, which makes me think we're probably going to get a little bit of a promo from somebody. And
Gordon Sullivan. Well, there's Barry again. This is seen everywhere. The West Palm Beach that you saw is only seen in the West Palm Beach area.
Yes.
So that was called the local promo, which is covered up by other local promos. I'm not so sure. I don't know if it's out there. I'm not so sure how many stations in Florida carried championship wrestling from Florida, but I'm sure all the top markets, Tampa, Miami,
Oh yeah,
Jacksonville, Tallahassee,
Orlando.
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Yeah. I'm sure all the top markets carried it. Yeah.
If you could go back and live in another territory and grow up on their television. So I know you grew up on Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, but we're going to table that for a minute and say, now you've got to move. So wherever you're going to go, you're not going to get that territory. Where would you want to go?
Wow.
Strictly from a wrestling fandom standpoint. Don't hit me with I like the weather in Oregon bullshit.
Yeah, this is really going to.
Look at Lex Luger working out with Hiro Matsuda here.
Wow.
Would it be Portland? Would it be Dallas?
No, I'm gonna blow your mind with this one.
Okay.
It would be New York.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have guessed that, but you like the Garden?
Like the Garden. I like the shows out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, those TV shows.
Okay.
To me, Larry Zbyszko and Bruno Sammartino's angle was one of the best angles I'd ever seen. And that would have been it. Yeah.
I think I might pick World Class.
Really?
Yeah. I think it would have been cool to grow up going to the Sportatorium.
Yeah. Coach Keith said Mid-South. That's a good call. Another one.
What do you think of this Lex Luger training video? We saw Lex and Matsuda doing Hindu squats. Now we see Lex with his feet on the stairs, one hand on a chair. They got two folding chairs out. He's doing push-ups, but with Matsuda sitting on his back and now pushing him down.
Right.
What do you think of this Lex Luger training video montage that we're seeing here?
Well, once again, it's to put Lex Luger over as an incredible athlete and training with an incredible legend. And look at you knowing that those are called Hindu squats. I didn't even know they were called Hindu squats. Where'd you pull that out of your ass?
Ric Flair.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Man, I'm working with the Excalibur of podcasting here.
Well, Ric Flair just talks about, doing those. And I saw him do his practice match for Ric Flair's last match with Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett and Andrade El Idolo 3 or 4 times. And beforehand, he would get ready for the match. And he and Jay Lethal would say, all right, let's do 500 Hindu squats and then we'll do the match.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, while the internet's like, oh, something bad's going to happen. I'm like, this will be the 7th match he's had. We're just going to do the same thing they've been doing. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, well, please keep in mind, all of you keep in mind, everybody who's in the comments, keep in mind that the biggest bunch of crackpots, idiots, live on the internet. Yeah.
This video montage, at first I thought, hey, you know what? They're probably trying to do their best Hulk Hogan with some of this. And now the more I think about it, the more I'm like, no, this is Rocky inspired. I think, didn't Rocky 5 or Rocky 4 rather, the one with Ivan Drago, didn't that come out around this same time? I think that was a 1985 movie, if
it
memory
sure was.
serves. Yeah, so that was November of 85 when it came out. So here we are just a few weeks after the world has seen these training videos from Rocky 4. Yeah, this is Rocky inspired, man. Just weeks after the release of that movie. Well, let's see what song they're playing briefly.
I've watched Matsuda working out.
Oh, nobody.
Oh,
just
they're
doing
describing
voiceovers. How about that? I thought for sure there was, the eye of the tiger bullshit,
What do you call this? Now you knew what the Hindu squat was. What do you call this? This is the human row.
That's Seesaw Jones.
Seesaw Jones. Of course it is. This is destroy.
This move right here is what Dave Silva had to practice to make it in the news business. Now he's doing a cold plunge. Before they were doing those ice bucket challenges, he's doing his own. So that was Barry Windham and Buddy Colt doing a voiceover over that Lex Luger workout video. And I think Lex Luger may be about to make his way out here and say a few words for the young Barry Windham. But we've got a big angle coming up here with Kevin Sullivan and Blackjack Mulligan and a broken bottle. So if you're not already watching, let me encourage you to go watch along with us. We've got the link in the description for today's show. But Lex Luger is now confronting Barry Windham. These guys are going to square off 6 years later for the world title.
Yeah. How about that?
Take a listen.
Oh, This is not the time or place for this. You ever take it from me? You are not out here for an interview. This is not the time. Luger, would you leave this match? Would you leave this?
What do you think of Lex with some stubble? I think it's a
I like
cool
it.
look.
I like the look.
I do too.
I like the look. It's rugged.
I got to ask him why he didn't rock that more often.
Yeah. By the way, in the comments for this, if you're on the YouTube channel, it says that at 37.50, Mulligan openly blades himself. At 37.50. And right now,
We're 30 seconds away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you see Lex Luger attacking Barry Windham. He's got him up in the torture rack ringside. Think about that as a finish. He's already using it here in December of 85. I'm still years away from seeing him. Oh, Blackjack's out here. Blackjack's coming after Lex Luger, trying to make the save for his son, Barry Windham.
Bet you Kevin's coming out.
Take a look at his left hand. Oh, there it is.
Because
there it comes. Broken beer bottle. Kevin Sullivan. Let's track it.
Like this in my life in wrestling. There is three men all right now. Something has got to happen. Somebody has to stop the. He came out here with a fallen attack. He broke it. Come on, right on the left eye. It's right on the left eye of Blackjack Mulligan. That could have blinded him.
Man, how crazy was that? Just all of a sudden. I'm not going to say the execution was the best because it was pretty damn blatant. But however, the physical violence of seeing this in 1985, broken beer bottles and glass and blood.
And Barry trying to save his dad and screaming and crying.
Get that camera out of here. That made it real. And now following it out the side of the building here, this
not
makes
worried
it
about
feel
lights.
real too. Yeah. Let's track it a little more. Man, even just the way it was shot makes it feel real.
Yeah. As to the realism, it's all dark. You can't see what's going on, but you're thinking, my God, they didn't plan for this at all.
You called him Bob Roop earlier. Of course, we're going to see him as Maya Singh here, take on Joe Savoldi. And then I think we're going to finish with Mike Graham and Wahoo McDaniel attacking Maya Singh in the Purple Haze. And that'll put a button on this episode of Championship Wrestling from Florida. Here comes Bill Alfonso again. Man, we got to watch more of this Florida stuff. I'll admit, I haven't seen a lot of this. I mean, I've seen as much today as I've seen probably in the entirety of my fandom. I've seen lots of little clips and segments, but I actually sat down and watched a full episode like this. I've not done that before. This is fun.
This is fun. This is really back. Crockett has started the TBS run now, but this is back even after the real the Dusty Rhodes, Kevin Sullivan run of, this is back after Dusty was the booker in Florida. So this is after that run. But it's still some good stuff. It really is. I mean, and Gordon sat right in that chair. He was the dean, right? If somebody else is going to stand up and do a promo, it's going to be somebody else. Gordon never got up, which was tremendous.
Coach Keith is with us, and he says, hey, Tony, you used to do birthday shout-outs on World Championship Wrestling on TBS. All In is on my birthday. Can I get a birthday shout-out? Doesn't hurt to ask.
If I remember, Coach Keith, I'll have Laurie send you a card. Here's the deal. Okay. If I say...
You start wishing listeners to your podcast happy birthday on TBS. It's fucking hilarious. I love you for that.
We used to do that. We used to say, we used to do happy anniversaries.
Oh, I remember. We've watched a few of them. It's hilarious.
Yeah. And they were legit. They were absolutely, because we would go, well, they were legit as far as we knew. Fans would send in letters and you would think, it's legit. And we would wish them a happy anniversary. But
oh, look, there they come. There's Mike Graham. There's the Purple Haze. There's Wahoo with the strap. We got a Pier 6 brawl to end the show here.
That's tremendous.
Oh, Kevin Sullivan. It's just brawling all around the outside of the ring here. That's the finish. Let's listen. You know, I got to tell you, I saw that. I saw that. The lady who did Jordan's hair got a shout out. I watch stuff like this, and I think I was born too late. I wish I could have like lived through that for real.
It was good, man.
That was
good
so
times.
fun.
Listen, dude, I've said this many times. I really believe this. The 80s were the best decade.
They
ever.
were.
Best decade ever.
They were. I mean, look at the movies that came out in that era and the songs, and we all still resonate with it. And
Lois was good looking, and it was just,
well,
yeah. Can't have everything.
Aaron wants to know, why isn't the torture rack used as a finisher now? I loved it. It's believable. That's a good call. Powerhouse Hobbs should start hitting that. You need a guy like that body frame to pull that off, I think.
Well, Camille uses it. Haven't you been watching TV?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Come on, Aaron. Come on, get with it.
Aaron wants to know, if Tony could bring back any wrestling territory other than Mid-Atlantic, which one would it be? Now, that's a fun question. You know, territory wrestling doesn't exist anymore, but if one was going to start back up tomorrow, you get to relive it all over again, besides Mid-Atlantic, would you still pick New York?
No, because they'd be competing against themselves, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. And I don't know, bringing back the old AWA wouldn't be bad, would it?
Oh, God. I'd pick ECW.
Oh, okay. Well, was that a territory?
I mean, kinda.
All right.
Maybe Memphis. Memphis would be fun.
Yeah, Memphis would be fun. Mid-South, and championship wrestling from Florida would be good. What about continental wrestling? How about that?
Oh, yeah. I've got a friend of mine who he just wore that out a few years ago. He couldn't get enough of it. We should watch some of that sometime, but we'd love to hear your suggestions about either old Kevin Sullivan matches or moments or shows you'd like for us to watch, or maybe old territory stuff. So leave us in the comments here at whwmonday.com suggestions for what you would like for us to watch in the upcoming weeks here on What Happened When. It's a big time in Tony Schiavone's life. We talked last year about what a big deal this Wembley show is. We are home stretching it now for this year's show. Hope you'll make plans to go join Tony and the rest of the AEW crew across the pond. Tickets are on sale now, livenation.co.uk. What a fabulous poster they've got there. It's going to be a who's who. We're hoping that Tony Khan gives us what we want. Double J and Hangman Adam Page, but we're going to be watching no matter what, even if we do have stupid ass Matt Coon in the pool with us. Megan's got to learn the hard way every now and again,
Yes, I know.
But unfortunately, right now, Tony, it looks like it's about that time.
And ladies and gentlemen, we just got this in. It's time to wish a very happy anniversary, ladies and gentlemen, to Conrad Thompson, who is a member of the Ric Flair family. Woo! A member of the Ric Flair family.
I think he's more of a member of my family than I'm a member of his.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Does he still show? He doesn't expose himself at Thanksgiving or Christmas or anything like that, does he?
No, we don't even see him at Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Oh. That was part of my speech. I said, I have seen Ric Flair's penis, but who hasn't? And Coach Keith, in case I forget, happy birthday, you son of a bitch. We're desperately out of time. We'll see you next week. We come to you on What Happened When on Wednesdays on Cumulus Westwood 1. But on Mondays, we come to you exclusively and ad-free on
Put Your Own patreon.com/WHW Monday. And of course, adfreeshows.com. SaveWithConrad.com.
My name is Doug Gustafson, and we are from Columbus, Ohio. First learned of Conrad through his podcast network. I'm a big 83 Weeks fan. Probably got into a little bit more credit card debt than what we wanted to during the course of the pandemic. We wanted to get rid of some of that. My wife and I had luckily bought the house many years ago and had quite a bit of equity built up in it. We are looking to actually redo our bathroom, things around the house that we wanted to do with the other equity that we have left over. We've been talking about refinancing forever, and I finally just took the plunge and called the number, got a hold of him, and from start to finish, it was It was just fantastic. I had Diane within the day. The communication with her was fantastic. The process moved quicker than I could have ever hoped. My name's Doug Gustafson from Columbus, Ohio. I ended up saving $800 a month with Save with Conrad, and am able to also update our bathroom.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender.
SaveWithConrad.com.